Provost and Deputy Vice-Chancellor, as public orator, may I present David McAlmont, a candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters. David Irvin McAlmont was born in Croydon, London. David's mother was a nurse, originally from Guyana, and his father was a law student from Nigeria. David moved with his sister and mother to Gorleston-on-Sea, Norfolk, where his education continued. When David was 11, the whole family left the United Kingdom and went to Guyana, where they lived with their extended family in the villages of Lovely Lass in Berbice or Wismar in the Demerara region. David benefited from the excellent education system of Guyana. He scored well in his secondary school entrance examination and attended Queen's College in the capital, Georgetown. David greatly admired his sister Tony, who was 2 years older than him. She loved to sing, and David copied her in renditions of Midnight Town to Georgia and Bohemian Rhapsody. He followed Tony into faith in a Guyanan church where they sang jubilant choruses accompanied by organ and tambourine. They watched Top of the Pops and listened to American popular hits, as well as the local sound of calypso, soca, reggae, dancehall, and contemporary Christian music. By the time David returned to the UK in 1987, he had a rich palette of melodic and rhythmic textures to access as a creative vocal artist. He successfully auditioned with Melody Maker Music Weekly, but to his surprise, he would not only have to sing, but also write words and melodies to his own music. A steep learning curve indeed. 1989 was an important year for David. He came out as a gay man and joined the Performing Arts course at Middlesex Polytechnic. In 1992, he signed a publishing contract with Chrysalis Music, followed by a record deal with Virgin's Hut Records. David first came to public attention with the band Thieves. Melody Maker journalist Taylor Parks reported on David's unique voice. One day he will open his mouth and a cathedral will fall out. David collaborated with Bernard Butler on an album, The Sound of McAlmont and Butler. I have it here, signed at lunchtime, which included the song Yes, which reached number 8 in the UK singles chart. They performed Yes and another song, You Do, on the BBC TV show, later with Jules Holland. In 1998, David released a version of Diamonds Are Forever and his second album, A Little Communication. A third album followed, called B, which was hailed by The Guardian as Britain's first Zen pop album. Recently, David has collaborated with a who's who of stars in the music industry, playing at iconic venues in the UK. His most recent album, this one, is Happy Ending with Sci-Fi Sean. Although not a person to court publicity, David is regarded as one of the greatest singers and lyricists this country has produced. In 2006, David joined the faculty of the Architectural Association Interprofessional Studio in London, where he is now a studio master, exploring the boundaries between art, architecture, and performance to reveal unseen connections between these separate creative activities. In 2012, David decided to return to higher education, and he took a degree in the history of Western art and architecture at Birkbeck College, London. In 2017, David began a generous collaboration with the University of Leicester's world-leading research centre on museums and galleries. He played a key role in the RCMG joint project with the National Trust called Girl, Boy, Child, a research-led performance that toured National Trust sites in the UK. The project won a Pink News Award for its powerful contribution to advancing the cause of LGBT+ equality, and it formed part of the successful Research Excellence Framework case for the School of Museum Studies. David went on to create a portrait of Black queer Britain for the inaugural Berto Pasuka lecture at the National Portrait Gallery. This event stimulated another project with the University of Leicester's RCMG and the National Trust called Permissible Beauty, which reimagines how beauty has been perceived in the past and shaped our national heritage. The first output of this project was a film, which has been shown at many prestigious national and international film festivals. The second output is an immersive installation at the Cartoon Gallery of Hampton Court Palace. David is a person of prodigious creative talent, never standing still in his musical activity and how it impacts on other art forms. He is a generous collaborator with the University of Leicester School of Museum Studies on several high-profile projects in the cause of combating discrimination against LGBT+ community. He is a true citizen of change, and we celebrate his achievements today. Provost and Deputy Vice-Chancellor, on the authority of the Senate and Council, I present David McAlmont that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters.
Heartiest congratulations to every graduate here today, and enormous appreciation to the University of Leicester Council for this absolutely monumental WTAF. My name is David Irving McAlmont. My sister teased me when we were kids about my initials because they spell D-I-M, dim. Nevertheless, I dedicate this scroll to her and my mother. Tony knew at 9 that she was going to be a painter, and she developed an obsession with the Virgin and Child. I have no idea why that happened, but by virtue of her dedication, the Italian masters entered my life at an early age, meaning that when I visited major museum collections years later, so many images were recognizable. Mum, on the other hand, had a much simpler technique for steering me to this moment. Mum, what does so-and-so mean? Look in the dictionary. It was an incredible seed to plant with a single-digit kid. Reference, source, investigate, research, and I dare say I've been doing it ever since. To this day, I reflexively check words before using them because Mum might be watching. She is a singer too, still hitting stratospheric high notes in church, and as a child, she was kind of famous in lovely lads, her Guyanese birthplace, for singing, "Gee, it's late, staying up late, walking my baby back home." Paul made me do that. My longtime mentor and philological advisor, Bill, artist, photographer, and restorer of paintings, is here today too. I rank him alongside my mother and sister. During 15 years in his household, if I showed an interest in anything, he showered it with exceptional encouragement. Thank you, Bill. I'm blessed to be partnered with Kenny Clay, a University of Aberdeen graduate in French literature and teacher who supported me unforgettably through my art historical studies. Thanks, Ken. And it is words, art, and music that bring me here today. My first instinct when the Vice-Chancellor emailed me was, me? I'm a tried and true negativist. I'm riddled with constant self-doubt and imposter syndrome. So my initial instinct when I learned that I had to speak to you today was to apologize. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to say with all sincerity, I'm so very sorry, because I know that I'm speaking to a hall of graduates who had to compile bibliographies. I teach academic writing at my institution, and I police bibliography implacably. So it's super strange to stand here receiving a scroll in this getup, having not adhered to that particular convention. But as a couple of my mates who attained doctorhood via bibliographies have said, great news, now you can. So I'm also here today because I've often liked the idea. I liked the idea of being a fluid British soul singer. I became one. I liked the idea of doing a Bond theme. I covered Diamonds Are Forever, co-wrote another song for the second Pierce Brosnan film, and performed John Barry's favorite, We Have All the Time in the World for him, when he was honored by the Music Industry Trust. I liked the idea of being a professor. It's not my professional title, but it is what my students call me, so I think that works. I liked the idea of letters behind my name. And yes, the idea of going diligently about my business in the hope that a kindly university would think, hey, that bloke over there is doing some good work, let's chuck him an honorary. And so I guess what I'm saying is, let's keep an eye on those likes. And I don't mean the social media ones. What we like the idea of, functions, I believe, as a sort of GPS to fulfillment. I haven't been especially ambitious so far. I'm far too much of a daydreamer. Collaborators like the musicians that Paul listed in his kind portrayal and the RCMG approached me with suggestions, and I liked the idea. In the RCMG, by the way, I uncannily have an astro twin, Professor Richard Sandell, with whom I share my 1967 birthday. What are the odds? And I thank you, Richard, for your much-treasured professional fraternity. Thank you. But in closing, it's my beloved Dr. Antoine Rogers whose presence is most touching of all on this occasion, because from the minute we met over a decade ago, Dr. Twan insisted that I become Dr. Dave. And he has been quite unwavering ever since, badgering even. The enormity of his inspiration to me, however, involves his epic journey all the way to Brunel University via Birmingham from a Catholic care home for orphans on Chicago's South Side. Whenever he speaks about the South Side, it seems to me that he ages visibly. So much so that I was once prompted to ask, how on earth, Antoine, how on earth did you get all the way from there to here? How did you escape the desperate situation that you describe? And he answered that the South Side was no place for a queer black orphan who wanted to live their adulthood openly and freely. And so he applied himself to study and found a place where he could thrive. I believe that so many of us are taking epic Antoine-like journeys this lifetime, and that the abbreviations our scrolls symbolize will only assist thereupon. And so, just for today, permit me to be the pagan in the hall who bids you all Godspeed, and thanks you for this life-changing admission to the generously rambling volume that numbers Paraminda Nagra, Engelbert Humperdinck, Benjamin Zephaniah, and Gary Lineker amongst its chapters. I would really like to end by quoting something that Benjamin Zephaniah said when he received his, because it's a story that is so close to mine. My mother came to the United Kingdom to study nursing. And so today, I'd like to say, Mum, you came to the United Kingdom to study nursing, and today your son is a doctor. I am very grateful.